Hello, everyone. Welcome to Study Abroad for History Majors. This is one of our focus sessions during our Global Learning Opportunities Week, where we talk about how you as a history major or minor can receive academic credit while you are studying abroad and make progress toward your degree. My name is Kelly Zuniga, and I'm an International Programs Advisor at the UCLA International Education Office. And I have the pleasure of co-presenting today with an undergraduate advisor from the history department. So I will allow Melissa to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Melissa Carrillo, and I'm the undergrad advisor here at the history department.
Thank you. So again, welcome. Let's dive in. We have 30 minutes to talk about a lot of important things. So who are we? The International Education Office is your one-stop shop for study abroad. So we have a team of dedicated international education professionals who want to help you find your ideal opportunity abroad, whether that looks like a studying program, faculty-led program, or an internship. And as part of that, we recognize that the student voice is very important. So we are also able to connect you with study abroad returnees so that you can learn more about how it relates to your experience here on campus. And like I said, we are in our Global Learning Opportunities Week. So there are many sessions happening for the rest of today and then the rest of the week. So go online, and if you miss something, check out one of the recordings on YouTube. All right, so we've given you the welcome. What else is on our agenda today? We are going to do a Study Abroad 101 refresher. We do recommend watching Study Abroad 101 that took place on Monday, but it's a good framework for our discussion today. So going to talk about that a bit. And then we're going to go into details on how to study abroad in your major. That's going to include some sample programs that we're going to tell you about. And at the end, I'm very excited. You're going to hear from some students. So we do have a panel and an opportunity for you to talk with study abroad returnees. All right, so Study Abroad 101 refresher. So what's covered in Study Abroad 101 and how is that different from this session? So in Study Abroad 101, we go over the different types of programs, what the structure looks like, what you can expect from a study abroad program. And then we also go into credit transfer. So into detail, we talk about how the units transfer, how the courses transfer, and how you might get credit for those courses, either for your major, minor, GEs, etc. And we also talk about the application process and timeline. What is covered in this session? It is a session to talk about history. So programs that have a focus or strong offerings in history. And again, we're going to have students speak to you, and you also have a chance to ask questions. So you can do that if you're attending live via the Q&A function. So I did say I was going to give you a refresher. So university immersion, these typically happen through UCEAP, and that's where students study at a local university with local students and other UC peers participating in those programs. We also have UCLA faculty-led programs. These are short-term experiential courses on the go, if you will, with UCLA professors. So these are UCLA courses, you go abroad with UCLA faculty, and that location becomes your classroom in many ways. We also have options to intern and do research abroad and also receive academic credit. In our office, it's called Global Internships Program. So I want to mention that UCEAP also has internship opportunities. And this is just an overview. The beauty of study abroad is there are really many kinds of programs that you can participate, more internationally themed programs. For example, you can do research programs as well. So again, the Study Abroad 101 is a great place to go to, or our website for more information. Now, you may be thinking, with all of these options, how am I possibly going to choose one or a couple if you're lucky enough to go on more than one? We do have this page on our website that helps you choose a program. And so you can look at that short link, take a note of it on the screen. You can also find this by going to our website, click Get Started and how to choose your program. And it gives you different considerations from the time you want to go abroad to any regions that interest you, to certain aspects of your identity that you want to learn about in terms of how they translate overseas, etc. So I recommend checking that link out if you have any questions about how to narrow down your program. I think it's also important to mention in every conversation about study abroad that you are able to use your UCLA financial aid while abroad, okay? And for any gaps, or if you are not eligible for financial aid, but you still want some help to study abroad, there are scholarships, and there are national scholarships. There are scholarships through UCEAP if you participate in one of those programs, and there are also UCLA scholarships that our office coordinates. All of this you can find on our website, but better yet, we have GLOW sessions on these subjects. So check out our GLOW website, and you can watch sessions about financial aid or scholarships. So when should you apply? Right now, we have our applications currently going for as early as summer 2023 and fall 2023. So you're looking as early as 9 months before the start of the program. And deadlines do vary by program. It's generally not competitive. However, some are first come, first served, and some of them do have limited capacity. So if there's a program that interests you, we encourage you to read through those program pages so you understand deadlines. And if you ever have doubts about whether a program is competitive or not, please reach out to your study abroad advisor or to the program coordinator to learn more. So yes, you can apply or register now. We are currently accepting applications for many of our programs, and some will be open later next month. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through those programs. Okay, so let's get to the bulk of this presentation. So studying abroad as a UCLA history major, what might that look like for you? And I'm actually going to pass it on to Melissa now so that she can talk about this.
Great, thank you. Okay. Let's see. So, yes, let's see, it's saying students. Yeah, students are not obligated to study in their major abroad. There are many different ways you can study abroad to meet other requirements, your GEs, foreign language requirements, or other requirements that you're looking to meet. And most programs aren't designed specifically around a major, but it can be done where you study with, you do some study abroad that can help you count towards some credits towards the history major. But if you do, so for history, for the UCEAP program, we do not do pre-approvals. That unfortunately is something that has to be looked at once you've completed the program and you've transferred in the credits. So there's no guarantee before you go that we can tell you that the classes will count towards the major. But that's something you could just email us once you've returned, so that we can look at the records and see how the courses have transferred, and we'll see how applicable it is. But yeah, you can study abroad any term, summer, fall, winter, spring. And you can also get research or internship credit as well, if you choose to do so abroad.
Thank you, Melissa. Sorry, I think I clicked through the slide a little quickly.
Yeah.
Were you, I meant to do something else. Apologies to everyone watching as well. Let me go back to the previous slide in case there's more you want to add here.
There we go. So yeah, so basically what we'll be looking at is how the classes transfer in once you've taken them abroad with UCEAP. So it's potential you could get lower division credit or upper division credit, and you can get a maximum of 16 units apply to the major. And that is if, if we find it that it is applicable to the history major. I said you mentioned we were talking about summer travel study. That's another option that we can get into a little bit more. But with just general UC EAP programs, just remember you would have to petition it with us after you've gone and come back and your credit is transferred so that we can review it.
Thank you, Melissa. Is there anything else you would like to add about this slide, for this slide right here?
Oh yeah. So for the internship and research credit, you would have to make sure that you are taking this for a letter grade, and that it comes in as a history research course as well. So definitely just make sure to keep an eye that it would be a history research course and that is taken for a letter grade. But if you can take advantage of these opportunities, it'd be really great, especially since EAP is offered year-round. So definitely, if you find something interesting, I'd say take advantage of these opportunities here.
All right, thank you so much. So to recap, you're not obligated to study abroad in your major, meaning to satisfy major requirements. Students can and do successfully petition GE courses, diversity course, writing requirements through all of the programs that we offer. But I think this is invaluable information for you all who do want to study history abroad and use it for your degree. I know you chose a major for a good reason and you want to expand your knowledge in this area. All right, so now let's go into sample programs. So Melissa talked about travel study, and I think the reason this one comes to mind so easily is because it is one of the programs that I talked about in the beginning, where it's programs with UCLA faculty. And so you're looking at 3 to 5 weeks abroad in the summer. Now I'm going to talk about these programs, but please keep in mind that program offerings are going to be confirmed next month when applications open. So I'm going to go over, tell you about the 4 history programs, and I'm just going to highlight a few things, but really I hope this gets your interest so that you can go online and read more about this. So one of them that we have is History, Atlantic Foodways, Culture, Science, and Governance, and this is a multi-site program, meaning that you're in Rome for 1 week and then in Pisa for 3 weeks. Yes, the home of the Leaning Tower. And so through the travel study program, you can expect to take 2 courses. And this one would be 2 upper division history courses. And so these transfer over seamlessly to your UCLA records, to your DARs. You get 2 upper division history courses in your transcript. And if you have questions about what that means for your degree map, then you can talk to Melissa here, and she will explain to you exactly how that's going to integrate into your major. Then another one is a History and Classics, Exploring Ancient Rome. I'm not going to go into detail, but just want to show you. History, Ancient Greece. So this one, again, the two history courses here. You can see students having a wonderful time talking and learning about the ancient Mediterranean world. For this one, something I want to highlight is that students can also satisfy diversity credit through this program. So always keep a lookout to see what else you may be able to satisfy in addition to an upper division requirement. History of Medieval Paris. This one is one of the special aspects of this program is that it's a lot of walking. And so it's very experiential in that way. The students go all over Paris by foot. Historically, that's how it's been, and learn about medieval Paris. And another thing I want to point out about this one is that there are 2 optional courses typically offered with this program. All right, so those are some examples of travel study. I went through them very quickly, but if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A or reach out if you're watching this later to one of the advisors in our office or travel study coordinator. Now let's talk about UCEAP programs. So UCEAP, there are programs throughout the year. So not just summer, but fall, spring in the year. And these are options via the UC system. These tend to be more immersive, but not always, right? I did talk about immersive programs or immersion programs at the beginning of this presentation. So I'm going to go over some examples and some ways that a student who's hoping to receive history major or minor credit may participate in these and what that might look like. So this one's within my portfolio, University of Bordeaux, and there's a fall, spring, or year option, and students can get GE, major or minor, foreign language credit by participating in this, right? So if you're looking at this as a history major or minor, know that you're not limited to history courses. There are lots of content that you can take, either in English or in French if you have 2 years of instruction. These programs are longer than a summer, and it includes excursions to nearby cities and towns. And there's also the option to do a homestay with the French family. And so some sample courses that you can find here is the history of French gastronomy, dreamers and radicals, alternative cultures in the 19th and 20th centuries, and then a course on history and politics in Africa. Another program that you will find through UCEAP is Yonsei University in Korea. This is a popular program. There's a fall, spring, or year option. And some highlights of this program is that students can take courses in English and learn Korean. And there's also a buddy program where students are paired with the local Korean student. There are also opportunities to volunteer in the local community. And so some sample courses are Korean literature and history, Korean history, early modern Korea. This is just a sample of course offerings here. And then the last example I want to show you is the National University of Singapore. So with this option, you do live in university housing and you participate in campus activity, and you take courses in English with local and international students. So more of an international theme while still being an immersion program. And so some courses that you can find in history is Buddhism and Southeast Asian history, gender and sexuality, a Singaporean history, and the city and world history, and that's referring to Singapore. So as you can see, there are lots of opportunities through UCEAP. In fact, history majors can participate in more than in programs that take place in 40 plus locations, and that's totals to more than 100 programs. So if you, as a history major or minor, are watching this, know that you can talk to the IEO advising team, and we can help you make sense of the catalogs. All right, so now I am so excited to introduce you to two students who are going to talk about their experience abroad and how they were able to fulfill some major or minor requirements. And so we have Max here today, who did major in history, went to Yonsei University in South Korea during the fall of 2019. And we also have Audrey, who was a history minor, so in astrophysics major, so interested in hearing more about that. And she went to the University of Edinburgh in Scotland fall 2021. So Audrey and Max, I'm going to have you come off camera now. Welcome, welcome. I see Audrey. Let's see Max.
Yeah, I can't open my camera, it says, because the host has stopped it.
Got it. Let's see. There you are. Hello, hello. Okay, so I will have each of you introduce yourselves and then tell me about one thing that you really enjoyed about your program.
Yeah, I can start. Okay, so I graduated actually last year, 2021, and I went to study abroad in fall 2019. So it was the last year before the COVID time. So yeah, so I was really glad I spent that time in Korea. It was a wonderful experience. My favorite thing I would say is it is very immersive experience to to make local friends, to learn Korean language, and also to study their culture.
Yes, and hello, I'm Audrey. I had a phenomenal time at the University of Edinburgh this past fall. And I really want to say, I think it's really hard to put a favorite thing on being abroad. It's just all so much fun and so amazing. But I have to second that it's very immersive, even though I didn't have to learn a different language. I still have a ton of friends that were local students there, and I think that's probably the best part, is just how close you get to everyone.
Excellent, thank you. And I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint so that we can have a better view of you as you're talking. So the next question I have is for Audrey. So can you describe a day in your life while studying abroad?
Yeah, sure. Well, it was pretty simple, as I would wake up whenever I felt like it. Just like normal university. And then I lived in a apartment with two local students and one other student studying abroad from Indonesia. And so we would chat, we would interact. I would go and I would walk around the city a little bit. I'd go to campus every once in a while. Because it was after COVID, I actually went right as they were lifting a lot of COVID restrictions. So all of my classes were online except for one discussion for two of my classes, and my history class was actually in person, which was really fun. But I would walk around and take in everything. That was amazing. And then I would always do something social at night. That was always something that I tried to push myself to do, was just go be social, go do something, meet people.
Thank you. I love your openness to explore and take advantage of the location. Okay, next I'll ask both of you, but I'll start with Max. So how did the courses you took during your time at Yonsei or study abroad help you make progress towards graduation for your history major or minor? I think you're muted.
Yeah, so I was a transfer student, right? So my time at UCLA only 2 years, was only 2 years. So I have to take a lot. If I study abroad, I have to think about the progress of the graduation, especially to satisfy the major requirements. So at Yonsei University, I took most of my classes that are counted as history majors. So basically, Korean history, Korean modern history, the Asian history. So a bunch of history classes, and all of them are counted as major requirements. And that's a good thing I remember about that, because they're in semester system. So actually, when those credit transfer back, is actually a lot more than the credits you normally can have at the UCLA. I think each class I took at Yonsei was like 4.5 or 5 credits, considered in quarter units.
Thank you. So lots of history for you. What about you, Audrey? Because I know that was your minor and you had a different major, a quite different major.
Yeah, I do. I was planning to go abroad to do history requirements. That was a big thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to be in a historical location and just kind of immerse myself in history. Unfortunately, I was only able to take one history class, because of how popular it is to go and study history at the University of Edinburgh. But I took this wonderful history of British economics post-war to modern day. It was a very, very interesting class, to say the least. I loved every second of it, but that credit transferred over really easily. I know they are the department here tends to be a lot more lenient for a history minor, like, oh, this just is a history credit that can go towards any of your upper division classes. So that was really nice. But I also did a GE abroad. So, and that transferred back with no, like it was really, really easy to transfer back. So don't worry about transferring credits, especially in a UC-EAP program. They are very helpful and they want to get your credits transferred.
Thank you. I'm sure that will be reassuring for students. So just remember, right, you have those guidelines, and even though their pre-approvals aren't granted, the department is very helpful, it's sounding like. So thank you to Melissa and everyone else. They will help you choose courses that will help you make progress. Okay, so let's see, Max, my question for you is there anything that was there something you were able to take advantage of while studying abroad that you wouldn't have been able to experience if you had gone to the same location as a tourist?
Yeah, I think there are many things, but I'll give just top three. The first one is definitely language. So I remember I had like very intensive language class. I have to take that class like for 5 days to 5 days a week, 2 hours per day. So it was very intense class. And then, but after that class, I was able to speak very basic Korean to it's very useful, like when order some food, when go shopping, to negotiate the price. So it's very useful. The second thing I'll say is to make many local friends, because Youngstown University, they have an international campus. For that international campus, I think most of Korean students, they speak very like fluent English. So even though you cannot speak Korean, you still can communicate with them very well. And once you become friends with them, they'll invite you to their home, like to have a weekend trip together, and then you can explore Korea more. The third, I would say, because if a tourist only stay there for a couple of days, but you have like a semester there, it's like 4 months. So basically, you can explore the whole Korea. You can make a lot of like trip plans during the weekend. So that was really, really fun. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. And then Audrey, so the last question, since we're almost out of time, will be, tell us about an interesting class you took that you would not have been able to take at UCLA.
I actually would say that all 3 of my classes I wouldn't have been able to take at UCLA. I already talked about my history class and just how wonderful it was. And it had a very economic perspective on history. It was very, very interesting, something that I really don't see at UCLA. Like just the way that it was taught was it was so different that I wouldn't have been able to experience that here. My other classes that I took were both STEM classes, so I will spare the explaining of how wonderful and different they were, but every single class is different, even if it's named the exact same class. It's going to be different. It's going to be taught in a different way. It's going to be explained in just such a different way. You're going to have different TAs. Every single class is an experience.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Audrey, for sharing about your experience. Thank you, Max. I wish I could have been there with you, but I'm glad that you got to experience that. And I'm so excited for all of the students who are going to be able to study abroad in the future. And I'm sure their experiences will be just as rich and rewarding as yours were. So thank you so much. I appreciate the both of you. And thank you, Melissa, as well, for coming and talking to students and introducing yourself. If you're watching this, again, just know that you have your academic department as a resource. And if you want to be connected with students who have studied abroad, please reach out to our office. We're happy to put you in touch. All right, thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.